Hi all, welcome to the Riot Lunch and Learn series, the place where we spotlight Riot's sponsors and partners. My name is Natalie Ballard. I'm the Events and Operations Manager for Riot. Just a couple quick reminders before we get started. This event is being recorded and will be posted to Riot's YouTube channel and uploaded to the meetup page where you registered for this event. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please place them in the chat box. We'll be monitoring the chat and we'll read the questions aloud. Questions are read aloud for those watching the presentation at a later date. Finally, please keep yourself muted throughout the event to help mitigate background noise. Today, we have Germán Suarez from Sento to discuss scaling IoT products. Germán, I'll turn it over to you.
Natalie, thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks Riot for giving us the space to share this day with you. Do you hear me well? Are you good? Okay. I'm gonna be talking today about scaling IoT products, a technology review, mainly focusing on like what technical details do we have to take care about when designing products, when start scaling them. So make sure like things go in the future like very smoothly. So we won't find like future problems that will put us in dangerous position when scaling those products. So thanks everybody for joining us. I see that there are new people coming in. Thanks for sharing this time with us. I'm gonna give you like a really quick introduction about myself. I'm Germán Suarez. I'm a telecommunications engineer. I'm originally from Venezuela, but I've been living in Colombia for the last 12 years, exactly in Medellin. I've been in the IT industry for 16 years, and I started Sento with a partner with a business partner in 2015. I'm not an electronics expert, but we've made a lot of mistakes during the process of launching different IoT and electronic products. So I've kind of learned what mistakes should we try to avoid during the process of scaling electronic products, and that's what I want to share with you today. First, before we go to the fun part, I want to share with you our story so you have a better understanding of why Sento does what it does and what took us to the place where we are today. So I'm going to give you a quick history from us and to share with you some thoughts and ideas and mistakes that we made during that process. So we started in 2015 looking to develop IoT solutions for the animal farming industry. We saw that here in Colombia and mostly everywhere, animal production is kind of behind comparing to other industries when it comes to technology, when it comes to IoT, when it comes to automation. So we thought there was a pretty nice opportunity in implementing all these new technologies to improve the processes in the animal farms. So we started in 2015, like developing, doing ideation of the products, the prototypes. So we wanted to monitor the farms and make sure that all the parameters inside the houses were in the right point to make sure the comfort that the animals were in comfort. If animals are comfortable, you will have better results in the farm. So we started developing like temperature sensors, humidity, light sensors, ammonia sensors, CO2 sensors, and we designed like a set of devices to monitor the key parameters inside the houses. Also, we wanted to measure the performance of the farm. So we started measuring the weight of the animals the chickens and also the weight of the pigs. With the chickens, we develop a smart scale, automatic scale that we will place it like this one. This one was one of the first prototypes that we developed. So this scale will be placed on the floor inside the houses, and birds will start getting onto it, and it will it has an algorithm that can estimate the daily average weight of the birds inside that house. We also develop what we call a pig vision, which is a artificial vision device that will measure the weight of the pigs using a camera, and we will place it on the top of on the ceiling, and it will take pictures from above to the pigs, and with those pictures we will be able to estimate very accurately the weight of the daily average weight of the pen. So initially we started like doing research, developing prototypes, testing like mechanical things, doing very crappy things, but trying to test it to see if there was a possibility that this technology could work. So after we said, hey, there is a possibility here, there with the technology available, it is like we will be able to develop a solution without spending millions of dollars in development. We decided to move to the next stage, which was the MVP. We focus on not having a very reliable product, and we didn't think about user experience, so people didn't know if it was working, if it wasn't, or we wanted just to test, right? And we tested a lot. So we wanted to make sure that we were understanding the market, the users, the industry, what they really needed, and we detected what worked and what didn't, and what wasn't necessary. So many things like, hey, we wanted to be like to have Bluetooth connectivity, and so we deployed, and then we found out that it wasn't necessary. So that kind of things. So here we thought about deploying hundreds, not thousands of devices. We wanted to test what would be suitable for these kind of environments. So, for example, look at this one, like this image with all kind of dirt inside. So it wasn't very reliable, but we had a scale like this one working for a month, and during that month we could gather like very critical information about how to improve the algorithm to measure the weight. So we didn't think about reliability, but to start testing the devices on field. After a couple of, I would say we produced around 1,000 of these devices, including scales, sensors, gateways. But at some point we said, hey, we know there is we started developing this the value proposition with the clients. They like it, they found it important, but we didn't have a product that was ready to scale, right? So then we moved to the next stage, which was product development. Here we started thinking about how are we going to assemble it, where are we going to assemble it, how are we going to diagnose that device, and how is the user going to be able to, how the user will learn about how to use these devices. How can we improve the cost from the product? So here we start thinking about like more scalable, like thousands, or like more than 500 batches. And also we think about certifications. So it was you have to be very clear about your market. So we were thinking at the moment in the United States and other countries from Latin America and Europe. So we had to think about what components we were going to use to make sure like certification process will be efficient and it wouldn't become a barrier to sell those products in each market. But you have to be sure about something. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, you cannot have a perfect product to start scaling it. Otherwise, you're going to be too low. Otherwise, you're going to be behind competition, and you're going to lose time to learn from the market. And that learnings will let you improve the product in the next production, or it will allow you to keep evolving the design and the features and the maturity of the product. When we had our designs like ready, our product design ready, we said, hey, we need to start producing this technology in bigger scales with more quality, having a business model that would allow us to grow, but we didn't have that capacity at the moment, and we went to different options to build those products. We went to San Francisco. We visited a couple of factories in the Bay Area. We went to Shenzhen in China. We went to India. We went to Bangalore, visit also a couple of factories there. And what we saw was that if you were looking to produce a couple PCB boards, PCBA, you would find options to produce 5 units, 10 units, 100, 1,000, 5,000 units. But if you were thinking about assembling the whole product, where you would need like tooling, setup of the assembly line, a bigger initial investment, contract manufacturers will ask you for bigger volumes, at least 5,000, 10,000, depending on the product. And we weren't ready for that. Our design wasn't ready. We didn't have the budget for that. And we were still validating the market. So we said, hey, this is not working for us. So we started exploring different scenarios. And what we found was that Colombia has a big, strong ecosystem about mechanical parts, plastic, metals, packaging, standard components, that there were no better or more competitive market of electronics than China or United States. And labor here in Colombia was also very competitive. So we built a model where we were sourcing components, like mechanical components from Colombia, electronic components from other countries like China or United States, and we would do here the final assembly of the products, and then we will be able to ship anywhere, because we started up an operation in the tax-free zone of Medellin. That's like a special customs area where you don't pay taxes when you import components, and you can build a product there, and then you can ship it outside, and you never pay taxes in Colombia. You would only need to pay tariffs in the final destination. In the case of United States, we have a free trade agreement, so we don't pay tariff in electronic products. So that was a very important advantage. If you compare it to China, for example, that you will have to pay between 25% or 30 or 35% of taxes if you're importing directly from China. So we built like a very optimal model where we were sourcing components from the local market, from other countries like China and United States. We will do the assembly here, and we will be able to ship it to other countries. We started doing that for our own technology. And what we saw in this process is that other startups like us were having the same challenges. So we start talking to them, and they said, hey, why don't you help us assembling those products? You already have the capacity. We didn't build something like really huge, big capacity plant, but something that was like focused on small, medium batches, but taking care of quality. That was our main concern. Like if we're going to produce 100, 50,000, 5,000, they almost be very good at a quality level. So we started like a new business unit focused on working with other startups in the process of scaling their electronic products. You could bring your product and we will help you like scale it from sourcing management, assembly process, quality assurance, logistics, international logistics, and we will also work with these startups in improving their products from the design for manufacturing perspective or design for compliance. So that's how we ended here. We are now Sento Electronics Scaling Hub, and we are all-in-one solution focused on scaling electronic products with a flexible, agile, and simple model, right? From the design to the building of the product and then the shipping, we do all kind of different services around that. And so our goal is to take away from these startups all the operational overload that is generated when scaling an electronic product, so startups can focus on scaling their business and improving their products, their solutions. So after all this introduction from us, I just want to end it here. What did we learn during this journey? That hardware is hard. So we wanted to share with you some tips. I didn't want it to make it very theoretical, more like specific tips about considerations from the technical aspect, also from the strategic aspect when scaling an electronic product. It involves considerations from the design process and also from the manufacturing and scaling process. Okay. Feel free to ask me any question whenever you want. I don't want to keep it very boring. So I see there's a chat here. Let me check. Okay, that was the introduction. Okay. So let's start with the key tips that we think help us during this process and hopefully will help you also like in the process of scaling your own products. I didn't want it to be very technical because maybe there are not technical founders here, but also like keep it some also including like some technical aspects that will help you if you are an engineer. Okay, so first start with off-the-shelf solutions. Okay, so at the beginning you need to test your market. You think you know your market, but probably you don't. You need to do that quick. So don't invent the wheel. Go with a out-of-the-shelf solution that maybe it's not gonna be the cheapest, but it's not gonna have all the features that you need, or maybe it's gonna have more, but it will let you test rapidly and feel what you need to cover in your product, right? And choose carefully the core of your technology. So when you're building a product, maybe you need a specific technology, a core microprocessor, or a core a module that's very specific, or from or maybe you find a vendor that's very cheap with a unique solution, and you build all your architecture around that. So be careful with that, because maybe you will get a very, you will be very dependent on that solution. So you have to check before starting working with them, their capacity and their stability. If it's like if it's growing, if it's like a young company, if it's like if it has like factories and enough operation to make you feel confident about going all in with them. Make sure you have a compatible technology with other like architectures on the market. For example, in case you have to migrate to another component, to an alternative component from the one you're using, make sure you can do it like easily. Like you won't have to make a whole new design in order to work with a similar component. And make sure they have the correct business model for you. For example, you may end with a provider that will ask you a payment in advance for a production for the next, and the lead time is going to be 6 months, right? So you'll have to build a model where you're able to pay them, wait 6 months till you get the model, and imagine the cash flow demands on that model when you keep growing. So make sure they have a business model that's aligned with your business. For example, there are some other providers that will ask you for a monthly fee. Make sure you have a model where you can cover that monthly fee, right? Over the year is your best friend. When you're deploying, for example, in our case, and we were deploying all different kind of farms. We would update the firmware of the devices and then come here to the office and then find out that there was a bug in the firmware. So we had to come back to the farm, update the firmware again, and then and when we were growing, that operation became more and more complex and more expensive. So once we deployed over the air, so we could like update the firmware of the device remotely, we could sleep like babies. I mean, it was totally another scenario. We could like deploy weekly updates. We would do it like remotely. So, I mean, imagine going to a farm, like an engineer going there, spending a whole day just to connect his computer to a device, update the firmware, and then going back, and that's like a whole day. So it was very expensive. So try to deploy over the air as soon as possible. It's gonna make your operation cheaper, faster, and there are like multiple platforms or solutions, firmwares, software that will let you do that like in a simpler way. For example, there is Balena. Also, Amazon has a platform for that. The guys from Loose Wireless have that functionality available. So try to look for a technology that allows you to deploy over the air. And don't trust everything from the data sheets. We had cases when we weren't able to find the bug, and we were checking the data sheets and everything was like what they were saying, but we saw, for example, like voltage thresholds or power thresholds, and we saw that we were in the thresholds like permitted, and it wasn't working. We had to change our design, and we had to add a capacitor to replace the component because it didn't work, and we were doing everything as the data sheets said. So don't trust them. It can happen with any kind of integrated, like from a Texas Instrument, from Microchip, from Atmel, I mean, even the big factories, the big providers, they have bugs. Use processing and communication integrated modules. Try not to have like a microcontroller and also a communication model. There are like multiple solutions now that focus on IoT that will integrate those functionalities in one integrated, so one component. So take advantage of that. I mean, that will reduce time of development. It will guarantee that it's gonna work. I mean, you would mitigate risk of bugs in the design. So try to use like these microcontrollers that come with LoRa or LTE, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. There are many providers, big ones, that already have solutions with this architecture. Consider compliance and certifications. It's very important. Use pre-certified components before in your designs. Otherwise, your certification process can come from a $2,000 process to a $50,000. We've seen it. So make sure you use pre-certified components. Also, if you try to use just one component that's doing the radio communication, if you have more than one, then certification becomes more complex. Or if you're using a model that has multiple communication protocols inside of it, and it's already FCC certificate, for example, that also is a really good option. So maybe these components are a little bit expensive, more expensive, but it's worth it. Keep it simple and standard. The fewer components, features, and complexities, the more stable will be. So when you start a project, you probably think, hey, I want it to have 10 different LEDs, one display, 3 sensors, 4 communication protocols, many things. And then you build like a really complex design, and then you go to the market, and you find that they don't need Bluetooth, they just need only one protocol, they just need one sensor. So you ended up spending a lot of money in the development process, having a very complex product that's gonna be hard to debug. So my advice would be try to keep it simple. Start with simple things. What you think is critical, and then based on the feedback from the market and your experience on the operations, improve what you need to improve or add what you need to add. Plan the fleet management. Okay, it's very important. How are you going to manage your operation when you have 5,000 devices? Okay, so how are you going to know if they don't have battery, if you don't have connection, if they have a problem with the sensor? So think about that. So there are plenty of platforms also for IoT device management in the market. Amazon has one. So try to think about them when you are deploying. So because when you have 50 devices in operation, or 100, maybe it's not too hard. But when it gets to 500,000, and you get like a 5% rate failures because of whatever problem in the design, then it's going to become very complex to track all of them. Use Power Debugger tools. This is one of our favorite tools during the development. This tool will let you read, track, measure power consumption over time in your devices. This will let you know how much power is consuming each component from your design, how much time will it operate using batteries, for example. And if you have unstable behaviors in the microcontroller or in any component, you will be able to see if it's because of it is not getting the right power, current, or voltage. So it's a very useful tool. I recommend it to use it a lot during the development process. Design for manufacturing and a small batches orientation, okay? When you're designing the product, maybe you feel like you're ready to go, right? You're ready, but you aren't for sure. The bugs will come out. Features that you thought were important aren't, or you will need to add a component, a feature, and whatever detail you will need to adjust. If you have big batches, if you produce 1,000 units in the first batch, then you will have 1,000 problems to solve, right? So it's better to keep it like progressively. Let's start with small batches. It will also help your cash flow, but you will be able to produce, test, improve, produce again quickly. So that's a very advantage because it will let you evolve very rapidly and without getting a lot of overcost. Keep your engineering and production teams close. It is very important that at the early stages of scaling a product, you make sure you have a partner or you have an operation where your engineering team can cooperate and can work closely with your production team. The NPI process, the new product introduction process, is key when starting. So having the engineering team in your production process, working together with the production team, making sure that everything goes well, and understanding during the assembly process which steps are more complex or have a bigger risk of a problem when assembly. It's key for the engineering team to understand so they can improve the design. So it's very convenient to have those teams together. Progressive development. Also, at the beginning, I mentioned that we started developing all kinds of sensors, okay? So at some point we had to say, hey, let's stop some projects and let's focus on the critical ones, because we were spending like a lot of energy doing reprocesses. I mean, developing the same things in different products. So that wasn't efficient. And so make sure you're clear about what's the critical path. Okay, this is the main device. I need to develop this one first, or this is the critical feature. So I'm going to focus on this one. And one of the benefits of this is that what you develop for the first device probably will help you like for the second one, all the learning. So for example, if you have if you improve your power supply stage of the design and you did some adjustments and that's working very stable, you can replicate that in the next device, right? So it is very I would say like try to do it on stages on products. So and with that process you will start building a technology platform, okay, like a core design, and with that design you will only need to add like different features and have different products. Well, you already have a starting point already developed, and it's going to be very efficient for the development process. Finally, I want to close with some recommended strategies, more not like specific tips or technical tips, but more like an overall mindset that you have to keep when scaling products, right? You have to you have to have a balance between short term and long term, right? So, for example, I was talking about working with off-the-shelf products at the beginning, so you can like test quickly, rapidly, and understand the market. Obviously, that maybe it's not going to be a scalable solution because it's too expensive or it's not like fit to your solution, but it will let you start quick. But at the same time, you have to start thinking or exploring what technologies you're going to use in the future. So it's like keeping a short-term and long-term mindset. It's very hard to say like this is the rule, but it's about understanding and feeling the development process, and also like start talking. It's very good to start talking with potential partners since the beginning, so you are aware of what you should consider when what you will need to have ready for the next stages. Forecast and planning never happens as Excel says. Okay, so we had a 5-year forecast, and we said, no, we're gonna produce 50,000 devices in 4 years. It is really easy to put it in an Excel, in a spreadsheet, right? But things don't go as you plan. Maybe your business will pivot. Maybe you will enter in different markets. So make sure you are conservative about your planning and decisions, and don't make decisions when thinking about huge numbers. Okay, so don't develop a product thinking that first batch is going to be 5,000. No, it's not going to happen. You will have to. It's better to think about 500, 100, 1,000, and scaling progressively, while you understand, you improve your product, and you understand your market. Test fast, improve, and test again. Don't wait to have the perfect product. Okay, go to the market, test, improve, test again. And for this stage, is very important to have like key partners or key clients that will allow you to test and fail. Okay, so try to find clients that will accept failures and will let you improve and learn. So don't go with, it is important to go to clients that are very like challenging, but at the same time open to innovation. Because if you find like easy clients that will say, no, that's good, it's very good, I like it, maybe they won't be willing to pay for it, and they are not helping you improve. But so try to find like challenging clients that will let you learn, give you like valuable feedback, but will also accept like failures in the technology. Okay, hardware development is expensive and slow. Getting the right help at the beginning will save you a lot of money and time. Okay, development process cycles in hardware development are slower than software, and are more expensive. Okay, you have to do the design, you have to prototype, you have to build the board, the product, you have to go to the market, test, then correct, prototype again, manufacture the product, go to the market. So that could easily take months or years. So whatever help you can get at the beginning is going to save you a lot of money in the future. So don't hesitate to invest like in advisors when it comes to certifications, when it comes to technology, when it comes to cloud services, because you can, having 100 devices deployed on the market and and realizing that there's a bug, it's gonna be very expensive. So it's not like a software solution that you can go to the server and fix it, and it will be ready to deploy again. It's gonna be more expensive to fix it. So any help that you can get at the beginning is gonna be very useful. And that's it. Just wanted to share with you some tips that we learned during this process of scaling electronic products, and letting you know that at Sento we are open to help you and work with you in the process of scaling IoT products, and we can talk without any commitment. Like we are always happy to talk and help you and advise about where we can help. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much, Herman. If you all have any questions, please post them in the chat box and we'll answer them. Well, maybe you covered it all, Herman.
Or maybe no, nobody understand my English, my poor English.
No, you're great. You're great. I see you've got some great contact information here, so folks can follow up with you. But if there are no more questions, let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's a question. Did you face any supply chain issues in terms of timeline and delivery?
Yes, of course, as everybody else in the electronics industry. That's very important. When thinking about looking for partners, or like looking for the components that you're gonna use in your technology, you have to make sure you will be able to source it easily. For example, we have a client right now in that's ready to produce, but it needs a component that's the lead time is like 6 months now. It's used in the car industry, so it's really hard to find it right now. And yeah, we're stuck. I mean, we cannot do anything for the next 6 months because of that.
Well, if there are no more questions, thank you again for a wonderful presentation, Herman. As a reminder to everyone, Riot hosts Lunch and Learns weekly on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find a list of our Lunch and Learns on Meetup where you registered for this event. This event was recorded and will be posted to Riot's YouTube channel and the Meetup page where you registered for this event. Thank you all for joining today. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us and having some time with us. Bye.